Formula 1 has just 2 rounds to go before the end of the season, and all of the drama was coming from Aston Martin as the teams arrived for the US Grand Prix. Robert Shwartzman is set to leave Formula 1 due to finances. Aston Martin have stated that Robert has not invested the money that he said he would to the team. Aston Martin said they found it difficult to find a driver for this season that matched their calibre. And Robert Shwartzman, despite the fact that he also had money behind him, he was also a quick driver. So Aston Martin thought this would be a win-win situation. Getting a driver that can provide a little bit of extra finance for the team, but also someone that is actually genuinely quick and is not labelled as an out-and-out paid driver. However, it seems like the payment section of the driver has not been fulfilled. Aston Martin go on to say that this has been an issue all season. However, they have given Robert plenty of opportunities and extra time and space within his deadlines to go ahead and sort out the fundings that he said that he'll put into the team. However, that has not been paid. Aston Martin say enough is enough. On the other side of the camp with Robert Shwartzman, Shwartzman has said that he has paid the team exactly what he said he would pay them and what the contract stated, and that he is going to be taking this further, as it is quite clear that Aston Martin clearly want to steal more money from him. But that is it for all of the breaking news. Let's get straight into the race news and see how the teams and drivers are faring during practice. Taking a look at the race news heading into this weekend, it was McLaren that went fastest in practice, with Rees taking the fastest lap in FP1 and in FP2. Mercedes-Benz though was showing some great speed, especially in their qualifying simulation runs, and actually topped the session heading into FP3, putting a very good twist into the matter. Audi were a team that were very unhappy with their car, especially the front end of it. Both Leclerc and Russell were struggling a lot with their front ends, complaining of a lot of understeer. But then at the end of the day, when they changed the front wing to try and help with that, it then started to destabilise the rear of the car. So they've got a little bit of work to do to sort that out. A lot of teams are having issues with the tyres around this circuit. A lot of teams are struggling to get the tyres warmed up, and a lot of teams are struggling with their tyres overheating too quickly. It seems that overall the teams are just not able to get good information on these tyres and are trying to work out the best way forward to get their car working with the tyres. And finally, Renault were a team that was struggling in Sector 1. Of course, Renault all season long have been struggling in the high-speed corners, and with Sector 1 being a fast-flowing S section, you can understand why they're struggling there. But that is it for the race news. Let's go straight into the Grand Prix now and find out who's going to start on pole and who's going to win the US Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 Journey. We are back here for round number 16 of the Formula 1 season. We've got 2 races to go in this season before we find out who is going to become the world champion. But as you can see then, we're here into qualifying and things haven't really started off too well here. We've had a very rough first sector here. You can just see the way that we go through the S sections, the understeer and the lack of performance coming in from the car, and immediately I decided enough was enough. This lap was just nowhere near going to do anything, so I backed out of it, letting the Ferrari through there, and we're going to go again. And as you can see, we finally are going to get ourselves a lap time on the board. It's not a great lap time, it's 25.2, but at least we do have a lap on the board and we can try and work from that. But as we now go through here to our next lap, this was straight after the flying lap that we did just a second ago. We're crossing towards the start finish line here, about 0.2 of a second up, but we get a much better run through the last corner and gain about a tenth or so there, and we're back and now into the 24s as we make our improvement. Onto our final flying lap here. Now you can see that we're currently P16 on the road, but we're 0.6 up here in qualifying. We have to make this lap count if we're going to try and compete with the front runners here today. We don't get a great sector last corner, but into the final corner now, again missing the apex, so lost a bit of time there as we cross the line now. That was a little bit rough. Here we go then, it is race time. We are here for the United States Grand Prix. The Formula 1 World Championship is now reaching its end, and we've got 3 drivers that are in with a chance of winning the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. Tom can win yet another Drivers' Championship. Rees can defend his championship by winning once again after winning the championship last season, and Charles Leclerc is in with a chance of winning his first Drivers' Championship. But it's about who has got their head firmly sealed and ready to race here at the US Grand Prix. It's a very good fun, high-speed circuit with plenty of slow-speed corners to catch drivers out. Tyre temperatures are going to be crucial, especially as we've got sunny conditions here today, and the track temperature is going to be higher. And as you can see, the final original asphalt was completed in 2012, and we've been going here ever since. But let's see then what the grid is looking like here for the United States Grand Prix. So as you can see, it is Reese that is taking advantage in the championship. He's on pole position with the Mercedes of Sergio Perez just behind him. Lewis Hamilton qualifies in third with Stoffel Van Dorn the highest place, Red Bull in P4. Nick de Vries is fifth for Mercedes with Carlos Sainz in the second Ferrari lining up in P6. Sam, a disappointing qualifying session in P7 with Charles Leclerc, the other championship contender, lining up 8th. Daniel Ricciardo starts in 9th with Lando Norris qualifying in P10 for Jaguar, and then it is Pierre Gasly ahead of Max Verstappen 11th and 12th on the road. 13th goes to us with 8 tenths per second off the pace with George Russell in for P14. Then it's Mick Schumacher and Valtteri Bottas lining up 15th and 16th. In 17th place is Oscar Piastri with Callum Ilott lining in P18. Then in 19th place it is Robert Shwartzman with Nico Hulkenberg rounding off the grid. So here we are then on the grid for the start of the US Grand Prix, and this is going to be a very important race for us. And as you can see, we're currently having a look at the strategy. We've got two ways that we can go in this race. We can either do a one-stop or we can do a two-stops. Now, as you can see, I'm currently editing the two-stop strategy because it says to do soft, soft, medium. However, I'm currently thinking about potentially going soft, medium, and then soft, and trying to let the final stint be our best stint and hold on in the middle stint as we go to 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. Those lights went a lot quicker than I expected them to be. It's a decent start for us, actually, in terms of the fact that we can get ourselves to the inside line and go up at the inside of a bunch of cars here and getting so aggressive on the brakes there. But we're already up into 6th place now as we make our way down through towards the S sections. Carlos Sainz on the outside here, but Sainz gets ahead now as we go into the S section. But already we move up into 7th place in this Grand Prix after starting, I think we started P14, so that's 7 places that we've gained straight away, and we're going to get that pass back on Carlos Sainz now, diving up the inside of the Ferrari driver, who is no longer going to be at Ferrari next season after all the fiascos that's gone on with him and the team. As we can see, though, we're up into 6th place now, but it looks like Reese leads this Grand Prix. Sergio Perez is in 2nd place with Stoffel Van Dorn in 3rd. Hamilton is up to 4th now with Nick de Vries in 5th. We have now made our way all the way up into 6th place, and we have put ourselves in a brilliant position now into this Grand Prix. But we just need to keep it going as we go into the last corner now, and across the start-finish line, Reese is currently the fastest man on circuit, as you'd expect, because he set the fastest lap of the race, so on the first lap, so what do you expect? Let's have a look at the start though here. So it didn't look like a brilliant start for Reese actually at the front there, but from us, our perspective, we got a great start and we just sent it up the inside, and it was very aggressive, but we made it work and we didn't take any damage. We made a little bit of contact with Sainz, but Sainz didn't take any damage either. Sainz though got back in front of us here. This is on board with Sergio Perez now, and what we were saying earlier, Reese, it didn't look like Reese had the best start here, but Perez now has got the inside line here, so he's going to challenge Reese into turn 1, but eventually he just gets squeezed tight to the apex. Reese then opens up the exit of 1, and that allows him to just sprint away. And this is on board with Stoffel Van Dorn here, so Van Dorn get the better start ahead of Lewis Hamilton. We've seen that a lot this season. The Ferrari's just struggling to get off the line well, and it's compromising them badly. But for Sergio Perez, unlike Sergio Perez, Van Dorn here is actually going to get in front of Hamilton despite being pinched on the apex of turn 1 there, as I nearly choke on my own saliva. I bet you all wanted to hear that. As we now go on to lap 5 of the Grand Prix though, as you can see, we're closing it to the back of Nick de Vries here, going to try and go around the outside into the hairpin and catch him unawares there as we blast now down the straight here. We're going to have DRS though, but de Vries is going to have it too, so we've got to be careful here that de Vries doesn't take full advantage from us, and we just use a little bit more of our pace to try and stay in front here. But as we break nice and late down in towards the hairpin here, run the outside, pinch the apex for Nick de Vries, and we're up now into 5th place in the US Grand Prix, and things so far are working absolutely beautifully for us at this stage of the race. Next up the road is Lewis Hamilton with then Van Dorn and then also Perez. Reese though is building an early lead. Lap 6 of the Grand Prix now, as you can see here. Here is the man in the Mercedes who's under pressure now from Stoffel Van Dorn here. Perez needs to try and see if he can fight this one off, but Van Dorn goes to the inside line and he's actually made that one stick. Up into 2nd place then for Stoffel Van Dorn. That's a great overtake for him here. As we go on to lap 8 of the Grand Prix, you can see we're sticking nicely actually with the front of the field at the moment, doing a great job holding on to the Ferrari, Mercedes and the Red Bulls here. But now we're coming into the pits here, and we are going to go ahead and swap to a 2-stop race. Initially, very tempting to do a 1-stop, but the hard tyres are just going to lose too much performance. However, I am going to switch to strategy, and I'm going to bolt on the medium compound tyres first. Then I'm going to go ahead and bolt on the set of softs at the end here, as it looks like Perez has actually retaken the position there from Van Dorn in the pits there. So Perez taking advantage with the Mercedes pit crew, working well, but everybody around us are now on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. For us though, I've gone to the mediums and I've gone a different way here. So let's see if that pays off, or if we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot and compromise our chances in the championship, and that's not too good there through the S section. Carlos Sainz very much fancying a little bit of a run at me there as we now go through towards the final piece of the S section, but straight away though, it doesn't look too promising here, because Van Dorn looks to already be out of DRS now of ourselves here, missing the apex of the hairpin. This is not going to go to plan here now as we go onto the back straight here. Here comes Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari on the soft compound tyres. We're going to have to let Sainz through, unfortunately, as Van Dorn closes up to the back of Sergio Perez there to try and make that move stick. But unfortunately, we've lost the position to Sainz. It's not the end of the world that we've lost it to Sainz, but annoyingly, we're going to have to compromise and just say, all right, fair enough, we're going to have to let Sainz through. Lap 10 of the Grand Prix, and you know what I said? We're either going to play it well and hold on to the field, or we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. I think you're probably starting to get the answer of what I've done here. I've absolutely shot myself in the foot here. Here comes Lando NORRIS now. Also, we've got Perez on the outside, Norris on the inside here. We're pinching into the middle, going into the hairpin. We are going to hold on and stay in front of all these drivers, but the strategy call that we've done to go onto the medium compound tyres, it's not working out, because the rest of the field are miles quicker than what we are at the moment, and we were doing such a good job holding on to them, and now all of a sudden we're not holding on to anybody. We're just trying to stop ourselves from going further and further down the order. Norris now tries to go back up the inside into the hairpin. Norris now gets a good run through here. We're going to hold it around the outside, but crucially Norris has got one thing that I genuinely am not going to have, and that's DRS, and he's going to absolutely breeze past, because unfortunately one big weakness of this Renault is, as Leclerc now, actually, speaking of our weaknesses, one of our championship rivals here, Charles Leclerc now is going to try and go down the inside, locks up though on the brakes, just about gets the car slowed down before powering into the side of us there, but Leclerc trying to make that move sick, and crucially of course Reese is the main championship rival who's out front at the moment, leading this race. Myself and Leclerc are battling for 7th and 8th place here, and at the moment all I'm doing is just screwing Leclerc's chances of progressing through the field. But as you can see, I don't have any pace, and as you can see in the bottom there, just before we switched over, I don't have any ERS either. One of the big weaknesses of this Renault car, despite the fact it's been quick in a straight line all season long, is that the ERS deployment and the harvesting has been absolutely dreadful, and I've just never in any of the races had good amounts of recovery from the ERS, and it's just getting worse and worse. You can see there, look, I'm on 13%, and I don't believe that I've been able to get this battery from when I dropped below 20% back above 20%. It's been that poor, and of course when you're low on ERS you tend to lose out in a straight line anyway. As we can see here, here's Perez going back for another attack here on Van Dorn. So Stoffel did get back past Sergio Perez, but now Perez wants to go back in front of Van Dorn, and that's exactly what Perez does. So good effort there from Sergio Perez, getting himself in front of Stoffel Van Dorn, and that is the position gained to him. Lap 15 of the Grand Prix though, we're currently in 8th place. And again, even at this stage of the Grand Prix, we've now been on these tyres for nearly 8 laps. At this stage now, the soft tyres should really be getting away there. Hello to the cameraman there. The soft tyres should really start to be falling away, but they're not, and we're just getting even worse now in this Grand Prix as De Vries now tries to go around the outside here. We're going to hold it off versus De Vries, and as you can see, Nick will try and come back up the inside here, but we'll pinch his apex and then open up our corner, and we're through. But yeah, I just feel like, I think at this stage of the race, I think it was more a case of these tyres were probably better than the softs. I think there's just a lot of frustration going on for me right now, because it's clear that I've not picked the right strategy to go on, and now I'm just, well, basically living in the consequences of my own mistakes here. And as you can see, we're breezing down the straight, but unfortunately I just don't have any ERS deployment. I don't have anything to defend with. And as you can see, for me, Nick De Vries is through, and we nearly go to the back of him there. But unfortunately, we have to let Nick through. Sam now is directly behind us, but if we could try and stick with De Vries, it's definitely going to help us out. But yeah, we've really got ourselves a lot of trouble now in this Grand Prix here as we try and go through the last sector. You can even see though, here on lap 17, look, De Vries is out of DRS. He's out of it completely. We've only got 10% of our battery left. You can see that this is probably becoming more of a problem than the tyres themselves, and the fact that we just do not have any ERS to deploy because we just constantly drain in the battery and it's just not harvesting. So it's quite clear to see that around here, when we needed to push a little bit harder to keep up with these guys on the soft tyres, we just don't have the battery to do it. And it's quite clear that now we've got massive problems in this Grand Prix because we're down in 10th place. Now we're back up into 5th here on lap 18, and that's specifically because everybody's pitting for their second stop. Of course, they're all going onto the medium tyres, whereas we have to then go even longer, lose a bit more time, but then go onto the soft tyres as there goes Verstappen in the Jaguar, passing us with absolute ease. Nothing I can do about that. So yeah, it just gets a bit more frustrating in this Grand Prix for us. Down into 6th place now. Our teammate Gasly is behind us. And now we just need to try and hold on to where we are and hope for the best, really. But on to lap 20 of the Grand Prix now. Finally, we can get off of these medium compound tyres, but unfortunately, we've just got to hold our hands up and just say that that stint was absolutely dreadful, and we very much put ourselves on the back foot here because now we've got to push like hell, not just to get, you know, to the end of the race because we're on the soft compound tyres, but to make sure that we actually score a point, because at the moment, our stint has actually put us in a position when we come out of the pits now, we're not going to be in the points anymore. And that's a massive problem for us, as there's Gasly trying to overtake one of the Porsche cars. For us though, this was a crucial exit here. We come out just in front of Daniel Ricciardo and the McLaren, and we needed to do that. Now we need to push. We're in P12. There is no one that we can see visibly in front of us. I've now got to push like hell and hope that I can try and catch up and score some points here. Lap 24 of the Grand Prix. Van Dorn and Norris now are side by side in towards the hairpin before the back straight here. Norris gets a good run through there, and now Van Dorn is going to try and pressure him all the way down the straight here as they open up the DRS for Lando Norris. Sainz now is going to make this one a three-wide affair here. They're both going to get past Stoffel Van Dorn, and now as they make their way down in towards the hairpin, who's going to come out on top here? Will it be Sainz? Will it be Norris? I think it's going to be Carlos Sainz. It is, but Van Dorn there loses 2 places in the span of 1 straight, but he is not the only man that's been struggling in this race, because I've been struggling, but now Van Dorn is the man that's going backwards in this Grand Prix. Something's gone wrong for Stoffel Van Dorn, but that's not going to trouble Charles Leclerc in the slightest, because he's going to gain a free place, which is bad for me and in this championship. And as you can see there is Charles Leclerc. He's through and he's ahead of Van Dorn. So Stoffel clearly struggling in this race as we go on board now with Russell and De Vries here as they make their way down in towards the hairpin. Russell defending quite heavily there against Nick De Vries. I think that's actually Sergio Perez. I lied, it's Perez, my bad. Russell here though is on the hard compound tyres, so George has gone for a one-stop strategy, and now it's only now is he being caught up by all these front runners. So Russell here doing a fantastic job of holding on in this Grand Prix, and now we've got the 2 Red Bulls going at it with each other because Van Dorn definitely has got some type of an issue. It feels like me in the middle stint because he's just constantly going backwards now, and there is ourselves actually behind there trying to catch up here as this is Nick De Vries now, and he's closing up to the back of Stoffel Van Dorn here. He's got the DRS, he's in the slipstream of Sam, who also has the DRS. That's an easy move for him. Lap 26 of the Grand Prix now, and we're back up with the leaders. As you can see, George Russell trying to defend here against Carlos Sainz as they go into the hairpin now. Russell here trying to give it everything he's got, but Sainz has those medium compound tyres. Russell has been on those hard tyres for a very long time here as they go through towards the end now of the second sector into the final sector here. Russell's not giving this one up without a fight. There was us there in the background there, so we've got just over 2 laps to try and close this scrap here because these guys are fighting for the lower end of the points here. But Sainz though is just about going to hold on as they go into the second to last corner. Is he? No, he's not. Russell though is still fighting in there now as they go into the final corner onto the start finish straight. Who's got DRS here? Russell's got it. Russell's got DRS here. Sainz now is going to be the man under pressure as they go into the first corner, as Norris is now going to fight into this one. Leclerc is fighting into this too. There's contact between Russell and Sainz into the first corner. Contact between Russell and Norris now. Sainz though gets in front and back ahead of George Russell in this Grand Prix. What an epic scrap between the pair of them, and as you can see, There they are, into the hairpin of turn 1. We've got 2 laps now to gain basically 3 places. We're currently in P12, but we're going to make that one P11 here because we're now going to go to around the outside here in the S section of Van Dorn. Stoffel really struggling in this Grand Prix, but we get Stoffel Van Dorn with a lovely overtake there. Now I've got to push like absolute hell here to try and close the field. They're not too far in front, but remember, the last lap of the race, the AIs, as you can see here, they're scrapping away now. It's Leclerc versus Sainz. There we are in the background, trying to join in on the party. These guys are going to be using every ounce of ERS that they've got left now. We're running out. Well, we've been running out for the entirety of the race, to be honest, but Leclerc now has got DRS here. Sainz has got it as well. The Mercedes in front is trying to pressure Lando Norris as they try and make their way down in towards the final set of corners here. Here comes Charles Leclerc, braking nice and late. Will he get past Carlos Sainz? Yes, he does. He gets in front, and Leclerc gains a place as Russell loses out to Lando Norris. But up the road here he is. Reese has been unchallenged all race. He wins the US Grand Prix, and he has put himself in prime contention to win the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen does a brilliant strategy. Second place for him on the road. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line to finish in 3rd. Then it is going to be Sergio Perez in 4th. Lando Norris is going to be in 5th. But for us, though, it's a disaster because as we come towards the line, we are so close, but too far away, and we do not get ourselves into the points in this race, and that is massive for the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. And as you can see on your screens, Reese is the man that wins here in the US. Quite frankly, he was unchallenged from start to finish, and Reese has really built some strong momentum in this second half of the season. And he's been pretty much untouchable, and he proves that here today. Max Verstappen finishes in 2nd place with an awesome strategy. I think he did a 1-stop and went to the medium, so fair play to him. He finishes in 2nd place there with 8.8 seconds behind Reese in the end. Lewis Hamilton finishes the race in 3rd, 11.7 seconds behind at the checkered flag. Sergio Perez finishes in 4th. Lando Norris is 5th for Jaguar. He ended up 19.4 seconds up the road, with George Russell finishing in 6th place, with Charles Leclerc finishing in 7th place. That's all awkward for Audi, that despite the fact that Lando Norris overtook Russell towards the final few corners of the race, they didn't let Charles Leclerc through because Charles Leclerc was too busy scrapping away with Carlos Sainz, so they couldn't really do team orders to allow Leclerc to get 2 crucial points in the championship. Sainz finishes in 8th, with Sam crossing the line in 9th, and then Nick De Vries finishes in 10th place. We ended up setting the fastest lap of the race with 1:26.2, but it makes no difference because we did not score any points here today. And as you can see, the second half of the table, there it is, P11. Too little too late from us. We had a great first stint, comfortably racing with our rivals. We then went a different way with strategy, and it didn't work. Van Dorn finishes in 12th ahead of my teammate Gasly in 13th place. Mick Schumacher 14th for Ford ahead of Oscar Piastri in 15th place. Callum Ilott is 16th with Bottas and Hulkenberg 17th and 18th. Schwartzman is 19th, and Ricciardo actually ended up DNFing from the race in the end. A sad ending to what was quite a miserable Grand Prix for Daniel Ricciardo. Looking at the Drivers' Championship and seeing how that fares, well, the championship swings again. Leclerc was the championship leader. He's not anymore. And it's a big gap. It's 13 points between Charles Leclerc and Reese at the top of the World Drivers' Championship. And we are now 3rd in the championship after not scoring points here today. However, by the slenderest of margins, e.g. we have no more margin, we are 26 points behind Reese in the championship. That means at the Brazilian Grand Prix, I have to win. I've got to set the fastest lap of the race, and Reese can't score. So if Reese scores a single point, we're not winning the championship. But we're going to give it everything we've got in the last round. But like I said, we have to hope that Reese doesn't win, doesn't score points, DNFs from the race, and we have to win and set the fastest lap. Otherwise, there is no championship for us this season. It is a straight fight. It is Reese versus Leclerc versus myself going into Brazil. Lando Norris is 4th in the championship with 173 points. Lewis Hamilton is 5th. He's on 143 points now, and he overtakes Sam in the championship. Sam had a good spell, obviously, for Red Bull, but he's definitely fallen off the ball as of late. He's on 141 points now, with Carlos Sainz moving up into the 100s in the points with 102. Stoffel Vandoorne has 87 points, with Verstappen 77 points, and George Russell 65 points. And as we said, the next race and the final round is the Brazilian Grand Prix. Then, as we can see, looking at the Constructors' Championship now, it is McLaren that lead the way with 286 points. They have a 14-point lead over Audi going into the final round of the season. Jaguar are next with 50 points to their name in the championship. Ourselves in Renault, we've now dropped down to 4th in the championship, and we're only 3 points clear of Ferrari, so it's getting very close now in that area of the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull are now on 228 points, so Red Bull definitely have fallen away towards the end of the season. They've had a poor start to the season, a dominant middle stage of the season, but they've been really poor cutting into the final few races. Mercedes make their way up to 75 points now, with Ford on 21 points, Aston Martin with 2 points, and Porsche with just the 1 point. But for now, that is it for this Grand Prix. Let's get straight into the post-race notebook and see how the teams and drivers fared after the US Grand Prix. Taking a look at the post-race notebook then, it was Reese that dominated the US Grand Prix to take the lead in the World Drivers' Championship, and now he is on course to regain his championship and defend his title at the first time of asking, with his 2 title contenders Charles Leclerc finishing in P8 and Tom finishing outside the points in P11. Charles Leclerc has stated that he will not be giving up in the final race, as he is well within a chance of winning his first Drivers' Championship. Charles Leclerc says that he's proud of everything that the team has done throughout the course of the season to remain in the fight heading into the final race, and will give it his all to try and beat both Reese and Tom to the title. Reese is remaining very calm despite a big championship points lead. Reese has stated that last season Tom had a big points lead in the championship and it swung on its head, and in this circumstance it could do the exact same thing. Whereas for Tom, he also still believes that despite being 26 points back in the championship, he can still win it in the final race. Tom says that mathematically, he is still able to win the championship, and he's going to do everything he can to complete his objective of winning the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. There is just one more race to go at the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo, the Interlagos Grand Prix circuit. One driver is going to win the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. It is either going to go to Reese in the McLaren, Charles Leclerc in the Audi, or Tom in the Renault. Stay tuned next week where we find out who is going to go ahead and take the Drivers' Championship.